Good afternoon, everybody. This is Caleb here with Indiana Weather Network, Indiana Weather Online. We are back here for another severe thunderstorm warning. This one here also 60-mile-per-hour winds, penny-sized hail. This is for Hancock County, Shelby, and Marion County until 4:15 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. A very strong thunderstorm with a microburst or a really intense downburst ongoing here, coming across I-74 right now. In fact, we have an INDOT camera over the highway as we speak, and you can see the whiteout conditions here that are ongoing. This is a live look at I-74, just on the southeast side of Indianapolis. You can see the rain curtains blowing from left to right there. Very limited visibility as well. You can see traffic not traveling very fast. We saw some hazard lights on a few seconds ago, just before this warning got issued here. So, a very intense storm, a very strong storm, and also torrential rainfall ongoing with this storm here as well. If you guys do have any tree damage or anything like that, feel free to reach out to Rucker's Outdoor Services based in Indianapolis and surrounding areas. You can get a hold of them at 317-665-3964 or ruckersoutdoorservices.com. They are sponsoring this video here today. Feel free to give them a shout out or reach out to them if you have any damage as well. Lots of microbursts ongoing around Indianapolis as well. So if you guys have any damage, or if you have any damage to your roofs too, Michele's Corporation in Indianapolis would be happy to reach out and help you out with your roofing needs. 317-251-1935 or at michelescorp.com. This severe thunderstorm warning is in effect for another 14 minutes here. 60-mile-per-hour winds, penny-sized hail. This severe thunderstorm is moving northeast at 20 miles per hour. So again, not a very fast moving storm, a very slow moving storm with this thunderstorm here. But as you notice here, look at all these lines that are protruding outward from these storms. These are outflow boundaries. A very strong microburst occurred near the Mooresville area just a few minutes ago. Actually, if I switch radars here, this radar is not operational right now. It has gone offline. So this is an old image here, but look at this microburst here that occurred near Mooresville, Indiana, probably about 10 to 15 minutes ago. Very strong winds, likely 60-mile-per-hour winds embedded within this as well a few minutes ago. So if you guys do live in this area, let me know if you guys had any damage from that. This is not ongoing anymore. You can see the storm is lifted near Plainville, but a very strong microburst near Mooresville a few minutes ago. Very localized event, but a very potent event as it appeared on the airport terminal radar there, the terminal Doppler radar, or TDIS radar as they're called. So a very strong storm there as well. This one here just warned for wind only for areas southeast of Beech Grove. I-74 between Sugar Creek and Beech Grove, or the 6974 corridor here is really the area in question here. Shelbyville, you guys are okay. Your severe thunderstorm warning is not for Shelbyville. It's just for the north severe portions and northwest portions of your county. Just getting glazed with it here. Pleasant View, think Brookfield North is where the strong winds are right now. Crossing I-74 south of New Palestine. New Palestine could get in on some winds south of US 52. But think between 74 and 52, this narrow corridor here is where these gusty winds are occurring and ongoing. Very dangerous conditions on the highway as well. Here's a live look at 74. What you're seeing is what I'm seeing and what the motorists are seeing as well. Whiteout conditions, not because of snow, but because of rain. You can see the rain curtains blowing off the semi-trailers here. Very intense winds here with this INDOT camera. This INDOT camera is sitting about 100 feet or so off the pavement, but what motorists are seeing is not much different than what we're seeing here. Whiteout conditions. You can see tractor trailers have their hazard lights on. Very slow going as well. Very dangerous for high-profile vehicles as well. They're very broad. Wind is hitting them broadside right now, which is dangerous as well for rollover potential if you have an empty trailer or an offset load. So very dangerous for motorists on the highway here. This severe thunderstorm warning is the only warning in the state at this time. This is for southwestern Hancock County, extreme. When I say extreme, I mean extreme northwestern Shelby County, as well as southeastern Marion County as well. And for Shelby County, it's just up here north of Sugar Creek. Your emergency alert system probably went off for Shelbyville and surrounding areas, but your storm is actually up here to the north. Now, Shelbyville has a thunderstorm right now. Could have some gusty winds. but it's currently not severe warned. Your severe warned storm is up here, closer to the Beech Grove area and areas to the southeast, shores Sugar Creek. That is where our strongest winds are right now. Likely going to start diminishing here or slowly start the downtrend as the most intense portion of the downburst looks to have passed on radar, which is some good news. But Plainfield, Indiana, getting in on a likely downburst right now, have some brighter reflectivity close to the radar. No statement or warning on this at this point in time. But wouldn't be surprised to see some winds maybe to 40, 45 miles an hour in the Plainfield area as well. So if you guys are living in these areas, let me know what you see. As well back here towards the Greencastle area, nice outflow boundary coming off outside of Brazil, coming towards the Cloverdale area, Rochdale from these storms over here just north of the Brazil area, likely also producing microbursts as well. Areas to the north, switch radars here to northern Indiana. I guess neither one really shows this storm very well. This is for Jay County, Indiana, south of Portland, north of Winchester, Indiana. The National Weather Service in northern Indiana put a special weather statement on it for 50-mile-per-hour winds associated with this storm here as it gusts out towards the Union City area and also into Ohio. But Randolph County does not have a statement or anything on it at this point in time. Looking around the region, nice heavy thunderstorm near the Monticello area. Could have a microburst in there as well. Really, any of these pop-up thunderstorms pose the hazard for damaging winds, perhaps up to 60 miles per hour in isolated cases. This one here has gone severe, meaning that the threshold was met for 60-mile-per-hour winds for a severe thunderstorm to be severe. We need 58-mile-per-hour winds or greater, quarter-size hail, 1-inch diameter, or greater, or a tornado. All of those things, or one of those things, will make a storm severe. In this case, it is wind today. No tornadoes expected here in Indiana today, which is a good thing. But microbursts can be just as dangerous as a weak tornado. They can have isolated pockets of winds, 70-plus miles an hour, are possible in these microbursts. They can be very potent. They can be extremely strong as well. Brianna says just some light rain right now in Plainfield. Yeah, let me know if you see any wind here in a little bit. Radar perhaps showing some gusty winds aloft near the Plainfield area. It could also be just to your west as well, near the Magentic Springs, Cartersburg, Clayton area. Could get in on some gusty winds as well. Let me know what you see in that area. Terre Haute, see some questions about you. You're in the clear right now. Nothing in your county right now. Everything is off to your east. And really widespread severe weather is not expected today. Microbursts occur very quickly. They're very isolated. They're very small, but they're also very potent as well. But because of those reasons, it's really hard to predict which storm will go severe versus which one will not. About 1 in 3 thunderstorms will actually have a microburst at some point in time in its life cycle during these conditions, like we have here today. But microbursts can range in size and intensity. Sometimes microbursts have winds of 15 to 20 miles an hour. They're pretty insignificant, while other times they can pack a punch. They can have winds, 60 to 80 miles an hour, and sometimes 100 miles an hour. They can be very intense sometimes. But there's really no rhyme or reason why one storm would produce a strong one versus a weak one. It's really up to what's going on inside the storm, what's going on inside the in the cloud aloft, and some of those things. Unfortunately, we're just not able to see due to their small size until after the fact, or it's close to the radar, and we can pick up on those wind measurements close to the ground. So. But everyone in the state of Indiana has a chance of pop-ups today, primarily central Indiana. Think Fort Wayne. Fort Wayne to Bloomington is really the area to watch. Areas Fort Wayne and south of US 30, and then north of Bloomington is really the area of interest here today. Thunderstorm activity is peaking now. And as we go into the evening hours, we lose the daylight heating component from our sun. Think 9 to 11 p.m. We'll start to see this activity wind down quite a bit, which is a good thing. And a few isolated showers or even a thunderstorm is possible after dark, but we'll see less and less of them as we lose our daytime heating component. That's our main driver today is the sun. The sun has helped the air want to rise in the atmosphere. It's heated the air column up. The air becomes unstable in the low levels, and those air parcels want to rise. As they rise, they cool, they condense in the clouds, and we have our thunderstorms. But with no cold front in the area, the air doesn't want to rise as easily in the evening time as we lose our sunlight. So we'll see the thunderstorm activity go down as well. This storm here, pretty short severe thunderstorm warning, only about 15 minutes long in duration. Has about 6 minutes left on it. The gust front has actually outran the warning box. Sometimes when you see these intense microbursts, they can actually help push the storm along and can speed it up a little bit too as it collapses in on itself. A lot of times you see microbursts, especially in setups like we have today, as the storm enters from the mature stage where into its dissipation stage, where it goes from having everything working for it to then being in a stage or an age in its life cycle where everything is not working for it anymore. It's collapsing in on itself. The clouds are shrinking up top. That rain cooled downdraft is coming down to the ground at a high velocity, and you see the storm start to die out. And that's kind of what we're seeing here. Sometimes you can see those gust fronts kind of protrude out away from the storm, and you have new storms firing along it as well. You have one near Shelbyville. I-74 just popped up, and you can see the outflow boundary here. Right in here is where our outflow boundary is, right where that line is, and it matches up well with our wind velocity too, with the strongest winds right in here. But that outflow boundary extends way off to the south, coming into Franklin, Shelbyville. So if you're in the Franklin area, watch out for additional pop-up thunderstorms, but the air is probably going to feel pretty good here in about 15 minutes or so as this outflow boundary pushes over. Assuming it's holding together, you may get a nice break from 100-degree heat indices for at least a few minutes as this outflow boundary comes off. But you notice it's not just one outflow boundary. We have multiple outflow boundaries across the state of Indiana. Most of these thunderstorms and showers are putting off outflow boundaries, as most of these showers and thunderstorms are producing downbursts to produce those. As downbursts come down and hit the ground, they fan out in all directions. Have you guys ever, a good way to look at it is picking up dust and then dropping it on the ground. As the dust hits the ground, it fans out in all directions. And that's what essentially is going on here with the physics with the microburst. As the intense downburst hits the ground, it disperses in a 360-degree circle, slowly losing in intensity as it protrudes further and further away from the epicenter of where that microburst occurred. So it slowly weakens with the strongest winds centered just underneath where the most intense portion of the wind came down to the ground. But they're very isolated in nature, but they can be very potent as well. They are known to cause power outages, knock trees down, and in some instances, they can peel roofing materials off of buildings, and they can also blow in pole buildings, and they can blow structures in as well. So they can be very dangerous as well. Another storm here that went strong, not severe though, likely a downburst occurring near the Monticello area, north of Delphi in Flora, coming in near the Logansport area. Winds up to 40 miles per hour in pea-sized hail. This will be near the Logansport, Monticello, Walton, Burnetville, Clemiers, Deacon, Golden Hill, and surrounding areas here for a little bit yet, for another 18 minutes here. We'll have to watch this storm closely. This is south of US 24. We'll have to keep an eye on that, or Old 24 is where that's located at. We'll have to keep an eye on that pretty closely here. Our severe thunderstorm warning does expire here in a couple minutes. Likely going to let that go. They haven't issued a new warning on it yet. We may see a special weather statement. We'll just have to see how observations go and what the National Weather Service deems necessary here. But oftentimes, and this has been the case the last couple days, we have shorter-lived warnings here today, and that's because microbursts are short-lived. It's not like a big storm squall moving across the entire state where we have a long-lived, widespread severe weather event. These are isolated events where we have pop-up thunderstorms. They pop up. You get some evaporative cooling as some dry air gets into that cloud, causes the rain in the mid-levels of the cloud to evaporate. As it evaporates, it cools. It's called adiabatic cooling. Some HVAC people just perked their ears up when I said that. It's kind of the same process in your HVAC system at home. If you have an adiabatic system at home, it uses condensed air, and you can cool your home. This is that same process on steroids in the atmosphere. As evaporative cooling takes place, the air condenses. As it condenses, it becomes very cold. As the super cold air gets colder, it becomes dense. Dense air is very heavy. That cold, dense air rushes down to the ground and forms a microburst that fans out in all directions. And that's essentially what a microburst is. And for that microburst or downburst in Plainfield, special weather statement in effect here for a half an hour, winds up to 40 miles per hour. You can see the nice core of the storm right around Plainfield. I knew we had somebody in Plainfield earlier, that mentioned nothing was happening yet. I'd be curious to know what is happening now. But our severe thunderstorm warning is getting ready to expire, and then we'll be back in all clear mode here in about 1 minute or so. Um, as this warning expires, we'll stay on here a little bit longer this time than what we did last time, as we do have a couple stronger storms in the vicinity that could go severe with microbursts. So we'll stay live here for a little bit longer than what we did last time, just to cover these storms in case they do happen to go severe. We have one up in the Logansport area along US 24, and then we have one near the Plainfield area that is showing signs of perhaps some intensification. We'll have to keep an eye on that as well. But our severe thunderstorm warning is just about ready to expire. Our storm that prompted the warning has moved out of the warning area, but it was producing some gnarly conditions and even whiteout conditions of near zero visibility from rainfall along I-74 for motorists traveling south or north, either towards or away from Indianapolis. So pretty dangerous situation there as well. So there we are back in all clear mode. Our severe thunderstorm warning has been allowed to expire. That's some good news. We're down to special weather statements. Those of you who may not know what a special weather statement is, not a lot of people know about them because they don't cause your emergency alert system to go off usually. Special weather statements are issued for storms that are strong but are just not quite severe yet. Winds typically less than 55 miles per hour, and hail smaller than 1 inch diameter. We'll see a special weather statement on them. And sometimes a land spout, too, will get a special weather statement on it. But those are pretty rare and far and few between here in Indiana. Don't expect any of those here today. So our severe thunderstorm warning was just allowed to expire. So we have no active warnings here in the state of Indiana anymore. But we do have two special weather statements in effect for the Indianapolis area near Plainfield and the suburbs of southwest Indianapolis, north of Mooresville. And we also have one up here in north central Indiana near Logansport. A nice potent gust front here. A nice core near Idaville and Burnetville along US 24, getting in on some very nice gusty winds there. Perhaps maybe some small hail if the pea size can't be ruled out there. But nonetheless, very strong and torrential rainfall is also occurring here within this storm. As I turn on our velocity here, take a look at the storm. This storm here probably interests me the most, just due to its concentration of the core within this storm. We'll have to keep an eye on this as we look at our VIL, our hail tracker here, getting a nice small core on it. Now, something to keep in mind with the environment that we have here today, though it may be showing larger hail aloft, some of those larger hailstones are likely not making it all the way to the ground because of how warm and moist our atmosphere is in the mid-levels of the atmosphere. Those hailstones that form where it is sub-freezing, 0 degrees Celsius or colder in the mid-levels of the storm, those hailstones that form, as they fall through the air rapidly warms, and those hailstones begin to melt, likely falling as pea-size hail or even smaller than that as well. So something to keep an eye on as well. Could have this as pea-size hail on the statement. So likely some small hail falling right near Idaville and Burnettsville, right where you see the pink, right in here. This would be where the hail core, where your updraft is a storm. And if you have a microburst within the storm, it would be within the core on where the strongest winds would be from a microburst. So if you're in like the Georgetown area, Kenneth area, in areas in between, that would be where your microburst would occur, and then gusty winds would fan out thereof. So very isolated event, and these are very tedious to forecast too. Microbursts are some of the most tedious things to forecast, as you know there's a large environment favorable for them, but which storm will ultimately end up producing one? That's the big question in the air, and that's what makes it so monotonous and very tedious, and also very difficult as well, as they're so small in nature, and a lot of times radar doesn't pick up on them until after they've already occurred, or we see the larger gust front or an outflow boundary protruding out away from the storm. And that's typically a tall tale sign that a gust front or a downburst has occurred. And there's quite a few outflow boundaries today. If there's one takeaway or two takeaway words here that you guys will get the hang of and know by the end of the summer, it is microbursts and outflow boundaries. You can see all these little lines that are protruding out away from these storms. There's one here, one here. There's just a whole slew of them. All of these little lines are outflow boundaries. They act as mini cold fronts These storms, our outflow boundaries are produced from storms that have already had a microburst or a downburst, and they act as mini cold fronts. Cold fronts act as a sense of lift. They can initiate more thunderstorms and are able to help thunderstorms get going. And that's what they do here. As one thunderstorm dies, the outflow boundary kicks off another thunderstorm to take its place. And it's just a repetitive cycle until we lose our daytime heating component and the air doesn't want to rise as easily anymore and calms down. Here's a live look at US 24 near Logansport as the storm moves into town. This is on US 24. In Logansport, you see the trees kind of moving there, swaying back and forth. So some gusty winds coming in here down the road, and torrential rainfall also occurring within this storm as well. So not a severe thunderstorm by any means, but there is some torrential rainfall occurring and some gusty winds here too. We're not quite to the core yet of this storm. You can see the winds there picking up in intensity. This is near just southwest of Logansport on 24 is where this view is. There's a special weather statement for 40-mile-per-hour winds and pea-size hail for the Logansport area right now. And that's what we're looking at here as the storm is approaching on radar here. Here's a live look at the radar for this storm. And our camera kind of be on the north side of this storm near the Kenneth area. So the core of the storm is likely going south of our camera locations of the NDOT camera. So it may not get the full force of what the core is, but it gives you a good idea just how juicy these storms are, how heavy the rainfall is in these storms. And there's a lot of other hazards that go along with thunderstorms in Indiana in the summertime than microbursts and lightning. Heavy rain is a big hazard today. We've still have a flood advisory in effect for the Connorsville area for another hour yet. 1 to 3 inches fell in the Connorsville area, and likely having some other ponding and hydrologic concerns here around Indianapolis at the moment. These lines of showers and thunderstorms have been hanging around for a minute, so areas underneath of them probably have some ponding going on at this point in time as well. So if you guys have any damage or anything like that from microbursts today, feel free to send us a message. Let us know. You can also report that. We do have storm report pages. You guys are welcome to go and check out as well. The National Weather Service loves to document damage from microbursts. When you go to report damage or anything like that, make sure you use the TEL method, time, event, location, the time it occurred to the best of your ability. We can use radar and go back in time if you guys have any questions on that. The event, what happened, right? Was it a flood? Is it wind, lightning? What happened? What caused the damage? And then ultimately what the damage is. Is it a tree that fell, power line, and so on and so forth. So currently no severe thunderstorm warnings in the state of Indiana. We do have 2 special weather statements outlined in blue boxes there, one near Logansport and one near Indianapolis here. Have a couple strong thunderstorms in the area here at this point in time. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to put those in the box here. I'd be happy to answer them here for you as I can. Strong winds also near the Plainfield area as well, up to about 40 miles an hour per the special weather statement. If you guys live in any of these areas, be happy to know what is actually going on there as well. So if you guys, for anybody watching from the Danville, Plainfield area and want to chime in, feel free. Always love to know what you guys are seeing. Also helps verify what radar is showing as well. Radar can get you close, but ultimately your eyes on the ground ultimately tell the story of what is or what is not happening. So always great to have that information. Currently 2 special weather statements. The storm for Logansport, Indiana, statemented for 40-mile-per-hour winds, pea-size hail. And then our storm near Indianapolis, near the Plainfield area, is also for 40-mile-per-hour winds and no hail with this storm, just heavy rain associated with this as well. Also, maybe a little bit of a gust front back here just south of Carpentersville, maybe some gusty winds there, sub-severe. By far, all of these storms appear to be below severe criteria at this point in time, which is good. Probably the storm that has my eye, or at least it still kind of does, is near the Logansport area. Some gusty winds here possibly approaching town. So if you know anybody near the Logansport area, let me know. Let them know they have a strong storm approaching their location as well. Our special weather statement that was for Jake County, Indiana, has been allowed to expire. That storm is moved off to the east in Darke County, Mercer County, Ohio, near 127. That special weather statement has been allowed to expire. Do have a flood advisory for Darke County, though, for our neighbors to the east in Ohio. Between an inch and 2.5 inches have fallen there in that location over a short period of time. So flooding is definitely a concern today. Not so much river flooding, but mainly urban ponding and excessive rainfall on area roadways is the biggest hazard here today. Thanks to our heavy rainfall rates today, doesn't take very long to figure out we have a lot of moisture in the air. It only takes one step outside the door to realize it's pretty humid. It's pretty muggy. So today is one of the days where the air kind of hits you in the face. You can wear the air today across the state. Our dew points across the state are in the upper 70s. Whenever you get above 75 degrees in our dew points, it's just unpleasant outside. The air is thick. A lot of times you start having breathing problems for those with asthma or other health conditions when the air gets that thick too. So, and also doesn't help with the heat index being over 100 degrees in a lot of locations as well. But if you happen to be behind an outflow boundary in any of these thunderstorms, consider yourself lucky today. You get a break from the heat index. You also get maybe a little bit of a rain-cooled breeze coming down too. Mother Nature's air conditioner, adiabatic cooling your backyard for a few minutes. So you can take advantage of that. It'll feel great, but enjoy it while you can because it'll heat right back up pretty quick after these storms have passed. So kind of a similar setup tomorrow. Less of a risk for a microburst tomorrow, which is good news. Have a little bit less dry air aloft, at least the data that I've looked at today. That's some good news, but we could still have a couple risks for microbursts here throughout the rest of the week, really, as these pop-up showers and thunderstorms pop up, they dissipate, and others take their place. That's really the name of the game here this week. No real organized storms or severe weather this week, mainly just pop-up thunderstorms with an isolated risk for a microburst or two. It looks like, yeah, this radar is still down. Our airport radar. Airport radars are really nice, though they can't see very far. They're very low to the ground, and you can get really nice cross sections of storms that are close to the terminal there. So, but this one here is still down outside Indianapolis. So they may be shut down just because they have a ground stop at the airport, or there's some damage to the radar from that microburst earlier. So hard to tell. Take another look here at our storm here across the Logansport area. Go ahead and turn our wind velocity back on here. Take a look at that. Really hard to tell on this signature, but there could be some gusty winds approaching Logansport, Indiana. Nice little gust front there. Could also be clutter or clear air too. Hard to tell, and it's often the case when you have microbursts or downbursts in a thunderstorm. They're just so small in nature and very difficult for the radar to sample properly to get a really good look at it. But likely some strong winds, perhaps near Logansport, Indiana, as this storm starts to phase out. Earlier today, we do have some storm reports coming in. This is down near the in southeast Indiana earlier, near the Metamora area and Bath area in Indiana, north of Brookville. We have around 2:30 this afternoon. Had some reports of some trees down near Laurel and some trees down on State Road 101 north of Brookville as well. So some of these storms have produced damage across Indiana. So though isolated in nature, they can still be strong and they can pack a punch. Down in Indianapolis, a new special weather statement just got issued. Here's a really good example of what a microburst looks like on radar. If you wonder what one looks like, this is a perfect example of what one looks like. So, how to read the right half of your screen here, this half of your screen. So, this is relative velocity. What this shows is our wind speed and direction with height, or different tilts in the atmosphere. This one here, so greens are winds that go toward the radar. Our radar is right here. So greens are winds going toward the radar, and reds are winds going away from the radar. Right here is our microburst. We have the epicenter right here with winds fanning out in all directions. We have winds going towards the radar. We have winds going east, winds going west, and north and south as well. So that's a really good example of what a microburst looks like on radar. If I hit play, you can actually see it form right here. You can see winds going north and south with the epicenter just south of Liston, near the Pittsburgh area, getting into some gusty winds as well. Special weather statement for 15 minutes here. Winds up to 50 miles an hour. So if you anybody living in this area, let me know what you see there. Probably some gusty winds ongoing right there over the next few minutes or so within this thunderstorm. Classic microburst example right there. Notice it's not very big. It's very small over an area that's not very large, only a few square miles in diameter, with the strongest winds likely right in the center where the core of that downburst is as well. Also, torrential rainfall is occurring as well. If I hit pause here and zoom in, probably the core of the microburst should be right in here over State Road 39 near Montclair and Maplewood. And right in here where you see the brighter returns, that's probably the core of the downburst with lighter winds surrounding that, fanning out in all directions. So the wind does slow down the further away you are from that epicenter. But if you're near the core of that storm, you can expect some pretty gusty winds and also very low visibility as well. Visibility can be near zero at times thanks to blowing rain and wind, and also a lot of lightning. Notice here we have a lot of cloud-to-ground lightning strikes within this thunderstorm as well. Lightning is also a hazard, and though you may have, let's say you're in Lebanon, Indiana, sun's out, sun's shining, no rain, they're still under the gun for lightning strikes as well. Lightning can strike 10 plus miles away from a thunderstorm, so lightning is a hazard as well. It needs to be taken seriously. If you guys have any questions or anything, feel free to drop them in chat. We'll be hanging out here for a couple more minutes here as we have a couple strong storms producing microbursts near the Indianapolis area. But right now, two special weather statements, both near the Indianapolis area and points westward. Have a really classic microburst. Probably the strongest storm right now is actually this northern special weather statement. And that's because the microburst is occurring right now or is getting ready to end. Typically, the strongest portion of the storm during a microburst is right during the immediate start of a microburst and a few minutes beyond that. After that, the winds start to subside a little bit and things calm down. Microbursts don't last very long, but where they do hit, they can be very potent and very dangerous as well to those caught outside. Storm alert asks anything for northern Indiana. There's a chance up in here. Have a few showers and storms trying to form, but most of the activity will be south of US 30 here today, and south of Fort Wayne. Think like Fort Wayne to Bloomington is really the corridor, and a lot of that's thanks to a stationary front that's lingering across northern Indiana. Our main area of lift is across central Indiana today. So not a lot. There's a few isolated storms can be ruled out near the lakeshore, but I think from higher confidence would be south of Fort Wayne and south of a US 30 today. But back into our microburst here. Nice microburst occurring near the Pittsburgh area. Right in here, you have winds going southbound, winds going northbound here. And right where those colors meet, that is your microburst. You have wind hitting the ground, fanning out in all directions. And that is your downburst. It is warned, or not warned, it is statemented for 50-mile-per-hour winds here. So severe criteria is 58. So 8-mile-per-hour shy of a severe thunderstorm warning. So we're close. We're just not quite there yet. but still strong. It is still plenty strong to blow some sticks down, some limbs down, and blow trash cans around as well. So if you have any patio furniture outside or anything like that, make sure you secure that, as 50-mile-per-hour winds is still strong. It can cause isolated power outages as well. So nothing to take lightly by any means. That's why they issue statements on these storms, as they are strong. They're just not quite severe. But we have a lot of outflow boundaries here today as well. As I zoom out here, you got one, two, all these little lines that show up here on radar. All of these lines are outflow boundaries, and those form as downbursts from other storms occur. They protrude out away from the storm, and they create outflow boundaries. Outflow is rain-cooled air that protrudes out away from the thunderstorm. Keyword is out and flow. It moves out and flows away from the thunderstorm is a good way to remember that. And they act as mini cold fronts. Those of you in front of these outflow boundaries are hot and humid. Those of you who happen to be lucky enough to have an outflow boundary go overhead may see the wind kick up a little bit, but it also feels quite nice underneath of these things, as it's rain-cooled air that moves over. But something that outflow boundaries can do, they can also help spark new thunderstorms along and ahead of them as well. They act as cold fronts, a sense of lift in the atmosphere. But the relief is temporary. It will heat back up, and we'll get quite muggy out there today. And that is thanks to a very warm atmosphere today, a strong sun, and dew points in the upper 70s. Air you can wear has been the theme the last few days, and today is no exception to that. So a lot of things going on here today on a small localized scale. Elsewhere across the region, our neighbors to the east in Ohio saw a few questions there. Really the same thing as what's going on in Ohio. Pop-up showers and thunderstorms with a microburst risk or a downburst risk or two. Seeing a lot of special weather statements and warnings across Ohio. Severe thunderstorm warning just to the south of Cleveland there for 60 and Penny. So the same thing for Illinois too. Scattered showers and thunderstorms with mainly a downburst risk or a straight line wind risk for damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour. And that goes anywhere in the state of Indiana, primarily for central Indiana. You can see just based on radar here, you can see where the pop-up thunderstorms are forming today. And this is where they've been hanging out all day, and where they'll continue to hang out here through evening. So central Indiana between Fort Wayne and Bloomington is where the greatest risk for a thunderstorm or two is today. Currently no severe thunderstorm warnings in the state of Indiana. We do have a strong thunderstorm approaching northwest of Indianapolis, north of the Danville area, as well as Plainfield as well. Though this storm is weakening, it could still have some gusty winds in it as well. Cannot be ruled out. Go ahead and turn our wind tracker back on. You can see some gusty winds approaching the radar here. Special weather statement is for another 8 minutes here for 40-mile-per-hour winds. No hail in this thunderstorm. This thunderstorm to the north, wind gusts up to 50 miles per hour, so perhaps a little bit stronger. But they do appear to be weakening now, which is the common theme when it comes to microburst. Micro meaning small, and burst meaning a burst of air. So they are not only small and localized in surface area, but also in duration too. Microbursts typically are pretty short-lived, about 10 minutes or less. So thankfully, it's not a widespread damaging wind risk today, but if you do happen to find yourself under a thunderstorm with a microburst, do be prepared for rapidly deteriorating conditions and things to get very windy very quickly until the storm has passed. So, but only 2 special weather statements in Indiana at this point in time. Looking around the region, let's go ahead and look at our storm that had a special weather statement on it earlier. This storm has weakened quite a bit. As I press play here, you can see the velocity is not looking too impressive anymore. And we've lost some lightning too, maybe a few rumbles of thunder, but overall, it just doesn't look as organized as what it once did. And that's really the key here today. We have what is called ordinary cell thunderstorms. Ordinary because they're not really organized. They pop up, they do their thing, they dissipate, they don't last very long. The average life cycle of an ordinary cell thunderstorm like we have today is 30 minutes or less. They don't last very long. And the reason for that, we don't have any wind shear to really tilt the updraft and to get these storms more organized. It allows them to grow stronger and bigger. We just don't have that component today. So these are going to be isolated, scattered by themselves, And because the updraft is vertical, it's not tilted like you have in a strong or severe thunderstorm. The downdraft and updraft are right next to each other. And when you have a downdraft that produces a microburst or downburst, that air gets dispersed all around it and eventually puts a lid on the updraft. It chokes it off. So the storm is no longer feeding on warm, unstable air. It's choking on its own rain cooled air that it just produced. So it's no longer to suck fuel into it anymore. It's a self destruct sequence. It's built into these storms. And that's really the key with ordinary cell thunderstorms. They don't last very long because they dissipate kind of quickly because they become I guess they don't become dependent on warm, unstable air anymore. They're choking themselves off on their rain cooled air through a microburst. So, pretty short lived storms here today, but many more pop up and take their places thanks to outflow boundaries. So, pretty typical, pretty common summer setup here in Indiana. We get these storms all the time in the summertime where you get these large heat domes that set up, areas of high pressure off to the south, creates warm, unstable air in Indiana. Gets very humid and hot, and you get these daytime thunderstorms that pop up. Not really big hail producers, but what they are known for is heavy rain, lightning, and perhaps gusty winds to 50 to 60 miles per hour on occasion. And that's what we've seen here the last couple of days. Michigan Storm Chasers, Stormlord, is who you need to hit up for Michigan. Um, so we are actually a part of the same company, but Michigan Storm Chasers does pretty much the same thing in Michigan. You can give them a like. They'll be happy to keep you covered and safe in the state of Michigan as we do here in Indiana. So we'll stay on here for a couple more minutes here, just to watch these couple storms here. Have one here kind of gusting out near the Rochdale area. Maybe some gusty winds to perhaps maybe 30 miles an hour or so, but pretty sub-severe. Another little gust front near Morristown here on the southeast side of Indianapolis, and that's really the key here for a lot of these storms. They're short-lived, they're sporadic in nature, and we call them popcorn storms for a reason. They pop up, they do their thing, and they go away. So. But looking at radar here around the region, storms have really lost their intensity for the time being. Um, we'll probably go ahead and end our stream here. If another storm does look to become strong to severe, we'll pop back on here and we'll cover that from beginning to end. So far, we have had 2 severe thunderstorm warnings today in the state of Indiana, both for microbursts up to 60 miles an hour. So with that being said, we'll probably pop off here. But if you guys have any questions or anything like that, send us a message. We'll answer them as we can. If you guys have any damage, let us know what you see there as well. And we will see you next time.